Welcome to the FantasyEFL Show. Join Ben and Jay and many more to take you through each week. Who's up, who's down, who's in, who's out, and everything in between. So grab your stats and pick your team. The show will now begin. So it's about changing around and get yourself that win. Fantasy EFL, where the fans come to play. Fantasy EFL, now coming soon in play smart, play hard. It's time for Ben and Jay. Fantasy EFL Show. Join Ben and Jay and many more to take you through.
Hello and welcome everyone to the first ever episode of the Fantasy EFL Show, your podcast for all things fantasy football in the EFL, finally, which is sponsored by That Millwall Podcast, a show made by the fans for the fans. So, as I said, welcome. The wait is over. We finally have fantasy football in the EFL, which we've been asking for 4 years. I'm excited. I know that most of you are excited. It's taken a long time to get here. We're here and we are fully invested in bringing you everything involving fantasy. So in tonight's show, obviously this is our first show. We'll be previewing game week 1. We'll discuss how the show's going to work, how each episode will look. We're going to dive into the fantasy football itself on how to pick your teams, and we'll dissect that every part of that with you. Every week we'll take you through winners, losers, the week's fixtures from before, look ahead to the next week's fixtures, who's in, weekly pick'ems, who's out, all sorts. Everything going on with fantasy, we're going to cover it. We're going to have regular guests from some of your favourite teams' podcasts, which you will find in the description at the end of the show when this show goes out. It will take us through their fantasy team, the season that their respective team is having, the fantasy league, and with you, the fans as well. You'll be getting involved. You'll have an opportunity to come on the show. We'll also have EFL guru Gab Sutton. He will be coming on the show each quarter to discuss the football season so far in the EFL and breathe, because we've got so much more as well. And to join me on that journey, without further ado, introducing my co-host for this new venture, an all-round EFL and fantasy football buff, it's Mr. Ben Green. Ben, how are you?
I like that intro for me, mate. A lot of pressure now to be in the EFL football and fantasy buff. I think I was doing all right in the Millwall Fantasy League for the Premier League one. So, yeah, pressure now, mate. Pressure. But, no, look, really excited. As you said, mate, well overdue in terms of the EFL Fantasy League. And, yeah, one I'm keen to get stuck into with yourself and looking forward to having a few guests on the show.
Excellent, mate. It's going to be excuse my language, I'm very excited, but it's going to be a brilliant season. We've got lots to cover. We've got lots to cover tonight. So we are going to get stuck right involved. And I think the first thing to cover, Ben, is why don't you just take us through the fantasy football?
Yeah, so I think the main thing to do, I'm sure most of our listeners and people watching this will be sort of used to playing fantasy football and obviously the Premier League one. So the first thing I would recommend anyone to do is go and have a look at the app. Obviously they are on the website as well. But yeah, go and download the app. Pretty easy there to set your team up. Difference from the Premier League fantasy to the EFL one is the amount of players. So obviously in the Premier League, you've got your full 11 that you'll pick each week, plus your, is it 4 subs that you have? But here you've only got your 7 each week that you'll be playing with. A couple of formations to run through. So you can have your 2-2-2, your 2-3-1 or 3-2-1. So each week you can chop and change those. Pretty standard stuff. A difference from the Premier League one as well is that each game week you'll be selecting 2 teams. So basically those 2 teams that you pick will be giving you additional points for those game weeks. With those teams that you pick, you can only pick them 5 times each season. So again, later on in the show, we'll be looking at some kind of teams to watch. And I've kind of tried to think outside the box with those because you might be getting towards the later part of the season where you've picked your Leeds 5 times, you've picked your you're trying to think who's going to win League One now. Tough. Rotherham maybe for your 5 times, etc. So yeah, I've tried to think outside the box for that. But yeah, you pick 2 teams each game week. In terms of your points, again, pretty standard if you're a normal fantasy football player. So you get points for your clean sheets, your goals, your appearances, You get some defensive actions as well. We will put a link into the EFL website, which outlines exactly where you get all your points. But yeah, you're pretty standard stuff there. In terms of your game weeks and your deadlines, something maybe for your calendar, for your diary, set an alarm on your phone. But each game week runs Thursday to Wednesday. So make sure you've got your teams sorted before those deadlines. You can have unlimited transfers each week as well, which is pretty different to the Fantasy Premier League one, where you only get one free transfer each week. So you can swap your whole 5 players in and out each week. Again, pretty similar to the Premier League one. Don't want to keep referencing that, but they've tried to keep it quite consistent. You have a captainship. Again, they earn you double points. So again, pretty similar. In terms of the leagues, there's a lot of competitions and prizes that the EFL are running. So each game week there will be a winner. So the player with the best score that game week will win a prize. There'll be an end of season award for the highest, obviously, overall scorer, and then the winner from each club. And I think there's a monthly winner as well in there, Jay, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, look, lots to get involved with, lots to get your head around. As I say, I'd recommend downloading the app, having a look around it, and then start fiddling around with your team. So the app's pretty good, pretty easy to use. And as I say, if you're a seasoned fantasy football player, like most of us are in some way, shape or form, then you should be able to get your head around it pretty easily.
Yeah, and perfectly broken down. And I don't think we're not going to go into the X's and O's of what we think is wrong with it, what we think is right with it, because we're just excited to have fantasy football in the EFL. I'm sure that there'll be some growing pains and they'll look at things that they'll change over the course of, if this stays, then if this is a permanent thing now, they'll look at things that they might change. They might introduce value to players. They might introduce a cap on certain amount of players you can have in the team. But at the moment, this is the best of what we got. We're going to make the best of it, and it's overall, I'm pretty happy with it, and it should set us up for to make people's Saturdays a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the key thing here is user experience and making it easy for everyone, right? And people might not be where they are with the Premier League, and you get a lot of games, and obviously people from outside the UK might watch a lot of Premier League football. They've probably tried to make this a little bit easier with only making it 7 players on a team. But yeah, pretty simple, pretty easy to get your head around, as I say, if you played fantasy football before. And yeah, as we've said, pretty excited to get stuck into it for the rest of the year.
Excellent, excellent. Should we look at some teams?
Let's do it, mate. Let's do it.
So we're going to go with my team. So this is my team when it allows me to. Where are we? Here we go. My team. If you can all see that on the screen. Apologies if you can't. This is the format. So this is the team that I've gone with, Ben. So I want your opinions on this. So for game week 1, I've gone with Leeds' Meslier in goal. I've gone with Santos and Ampadu at the back. Callum O'Hare, Shammy Smodics, Lee from Wrexham in midfield, and Alfie May up front, with my 2 pick'ems being Leeds to beat Portsmouth, Birmingham to beat Reading. What's your initial thoughts at taking a look at that?
Well, I'm laughing because, believe it or not, listeners and watchers, we haven't shown each other our teams until this very first show. And as you were reading that out, mate, you've pretty much picked exactly the same, or half of my team and the 2 teams that I've picked in mine. So, yeah, I think in terms of the 2 teams, pretty standard. I think the key for fantasy is getting off to a good start. I think Leeds will beat Portsmouth, and I think Birmingham will also win first game of the season against Reading. And yeah, as I say, in terms of the players you picked, pretty similar to myself, mate. So, yeah, can't disagree with most of those. Though I've gone with a slightly different twist. Well, I've tried to get as many Millwall-related players in as I can for that first game week without putting any Millwall players in, if you can get your head around that one.
Which, well, now I will show everybody your team, and we will go analyse this. So this is Ben's team for the game week 1, and as he said, yeah, very, very similar to mine. A few changes in there. Alafi, like that.
Yeah.
Mitchell, yeah. I see the Millwall references. So yeah, talk to me. Why Alfie May? So we both picked Alfie May.
Yeah.
I picked Alfie May because he was top goal scorer in League One. He's fantastic for Charlton. Got his move to Birmingham, who most of us, myself definitely, and I'm sure that you think likewise, are probably one of the favourites to come back up. They've spent a lot of money. He'll get a lot of service. There'll be quite an attacking force in this league. So I think Alfie May is going to be on a lot of teams, a lot of people's teams this season.
Yeah, I'd imagine certainly for the early part, he's going to be in everyone's first couple of game weeks, and I'd imagine he'll be staying there. If he performs anywhere like he did this year for Birmingham, like he did last year for Charlton, as you say, mate, he's going to, Birmingham, I'm expecting anything outside of top two is going to be a complete and utter failure for them. They've spent money, as you've said, and for him, 23 goals and 1 assist last year, you're going to be getting a few points if he continues that. So, for me, had to put him in. I didn't see on your team, have you captained him or not?
I captained Alfie May.
Interesting. So I've obviously gone as vice captain.
Yeah, and I used Wrexham's Lee as my vice captain because I think, again, Wrexham are going to be one of those teams that I think push again for promotion. Not much of a League Two presence, I would say, in our league at the moment, but obviously that will change throughout the season with guests that we come on. They would enlighten us to some of the better players in League Two. Well, I think we've both gone with a bit of a surefire, safe first game week picks, if you like.
Yeah.
But picks that I think will be very, very similar to most teams. So I wouldn't expect to see the point differential in the leagues be massive from someone doing really well to someone doing really poor. I think everyone's going to go a little bit safe with how it works at least the first couple of weeks, like you said.
Yeah, I think usually with fantasy that is how it works, isn't it? People start with relatively similar teams, and then they start to chop and change as we go out through the season. And just a couple of pointers again on mine. I'm expecting Callum O'Hare to have a really good season with Sheffield United. He's
Me too.
Favourite of mine, just in terms of play. I thought he was going to get his Premier League move, to be perfectly honest, after obviously leaving Coventry. Mitchell's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, since he's left us, I've got no idea if he's played for Charlton over pre-season, whether he started. Obviously, again, he had a really good loan spell at Lincoln last year. I'm expecting Charlton to push for promotion with Nathan Jones this year, or certainly have a real go at it. So, I wanted to put him in. And again, the Millwall relation with Alafe, I'm expecting him to continue his goal-scoring record for Stockport. So, as I say, pretty similar. I really wanted to get Langstaff in, Jay, for that first week. I know he's not going to be fit, so that was the reason why he didn't. But again, he's going to be going straight in as soon as he is fit and playing. Langstaff is going in as soon as he's available, and I don't think I'm going to move him all season even if he gets 2 goals.
I think most Millwall fans will tend to agree with you there, Ben, because what's interesting as well is that there's some players on these lists that may not be here come the end of the window, may even not be here come game week 2. Sammy Smodics being one of them. I'm sure he makes most people's teams list. Amazing season last season, fully deserves the transfer speculation that is surrounding him this season. Blackburn fans won't be too happy about it. You've got him as your captain. Do you expect him to still be a Blackburn player come the end of August?
Well, I've kind of just gone, look, this is game week 1, right? So I've just gone based on that. I love Smodics. He's been superb for Blackburn. He really has. Again, similar to O'Hare, I fully expected him to be linked with Premier League clubs and get a Premier League move. My only thing with Smodics, Jay, is obviously is his age. He's probably not going to go and get a, say, mid to upper Premier League side. You're probably always going to be looking at a promoted Premier League team that's going to be looking at him. Or even abroad. Look, he's been excellent, right? I don't know if he'd want to go and move abroad sort of later on in his career, but look, I've captained him. I think his goal scoring record's just been unbelievable, isn't it, for Blackburn over the last couple of years. So I'm expecting big things. In answer to your question, do I think he'll be there at the end of August? Yeah, why not? I think he will.
Well, do you hear that, Blackburn fans? There you go. So, fantasy buff Ben has given his prediction that you are going to have a
That's
healthy,
based on
fit
nothing,
and
by the way. I
committed.
haven't looked at any speculation in the last couple of days, so he could already be lined up and gone and had a medical somewhere. But yeah,
Blackburn
I'm
fans
hoping
are
he
going to
is.
still be excited, nonetheless. Yeah, well, I hope he is because he brings quality to the championship. He puts the championship on the map, and and everyone want the best players to play in this league. You don't want them to keep moving on, but in the other breath, they deserve it, and then he's one of those that is deserving of it. So you've also gone, which you did kind of touch on. We touched on some of the better players in this league. Jayden Bogle. Why Bogle? He got his move away from Sheffield United. Sheffield United look to be a falling ship at the moment with losing some key players, but bringing in Callum O'Hare sort of balances the books. Jayden Bogle's one of the better defenders, better right backs in this league, I think.
Yeah.
And I would imagine he'd be in quite a few people's teams. Why Bogle
Yeah,
and not
again,
someone else?
for those exact reasons, mate, I'm fully expecting Leeds to be challenging for promotion. I know there's going to be a lot of ins and outs there. Obviously, they've already lost Somerville, Gray. But again, they're just replacing them then with at least top championship quality, in this case, Bogle, right? So, put him in. Again, I've kind of just gone on that game week 1. I expect them to beat Portsmouth, and I'd be surprised if Portsmouth scored. So, based on the clean sheet points there and his defensive output, I would, that was the reason why I've put him in. He would be someone that I probably wouldn't be looking to change too much as well, unless he gets injured because of the reasons that I've just mentioned. With Leeds, I expect him to be right up there come the end of the season. So I think he'll be one of the mainstays in my side.
Okay, so that brings me nicely then onto the next segment of our pilot show this season is some of the players to watch this season. Obviously, your team may chop and change. You are going to keep some players around, as you just alluded to. I will do the same myself. But across the 3 leagues, who are sort of 2 players from each league that you think we should be looking out for to put in our team?
Yeah, well, I can go even better than that, mate. I've got 3 players for you from each league. So
perfect. Let's go.
Let's go with League 2 first. Again, looked at some players from last year. Obviously, based on the EFL fantasy points, how they're going to work. So, wanted to try and mix a few up. I've got a defender from each league, apart from the Championship, and I've got try to mix it up basically. But we'll go with League 2 first. The first one was Mikey Dimitriou from Crewe. Believe it or not, for a centre half last year, he had 14 goal involvements. So again, you think about your fantasy points, you're going to be getting a lot there for goals and assists from a defender. So I've put him in from Crewe as a player to watch across the season. Second player is Davis Keller-Dunn from Mansfield. He got 22 goals and 10 assists last year from midfield. So again, really high goal contribution output. And my last one, someone I actually think Millwall should be looking at, Jay, and we don't want to take this over as a Millwall show, and we won't be, believe us. But Jody Jones from Notts County, he got 24 assists last year. Someone that I'd be looking at, and probably another stat to add there, he had the most clear-cut chances in the league in terms of chance creation, and that was 34. So, again, Langstaff not being there, those assist numbers might be a little bit down this year, but if he can keep creating those clear-cut chances, Notts County are going to continue scoring a few goals. So they're my 3. Dimitriou from Crewe, Keller-Dunn from Mansfield, and Jody Jones from Notts County.
3 great players, and as you said, Jody Jones was, I think he broke the record for assists in a season as well. But without his talisman alongside him, that may change the season. But no, excellent picks there, Ben. So okay, let's step up one then. League 1, what you got for us for League 1?
Yeah, League 1. Tenai Watson or from Charlton. I don't know if I've said his first name there correctly, but I'll go with Tenai Watson, defender. As I say, from Charlton, he had 1 goal and 4 assists last year, so fairly decent from a defensive point of view in terms of goal contributions. Again, based on my reasons that I mentioned earlier, I do expect Charlton to be pushing for certainly higher up in the league next year. I think Nathan Jones will be eyeing up at least the playoffs. They've made some decent signings as well, so I expect them to be high up the league. My second player is Koku from Peterborough. 11 goals and 7 assists last year. Again, haven't heard any sort of rumours about him moving up to the Championship, but we all know what Peterborough are like. it's you score 3, we'll score 4 with them, and they're pretty much a banker BTS every week for everyone's coupons. But yeah, as a midfielder, really good goals and assists last year. And then the obvious one that we've mentioned, mate, I've made in there, obviously just, again, for the reasons that we've spoken about, expecting Brum to be at least in the top 2. And Alfie May's goal scoring record last year for Charlton was unbelievable. So, yeah, Alfie May's my third. So, Tenai Watson from Charlton, Kwame Poku from Peterborough, and Alfie May from Birmingham.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is going to argue with any of them picks, Ben. I think Alfie May is going to be probably, it's not going to be the last time we hear Alfie May's name this season in League One. I fully expect Alfie May to be a championship player come the end of next season. As many of them, like you said, Peterborough, big score in Peterborough. They'll make a lot of teams pick'ems as well. So, no, brilliant. So let's move on then to what we're probably best equipped to talk about, championship football. Don't worry, everybody. We are going to have experts and guests from League 2, League 1. They'll be joining the show as well to give us better insights along with our insights as well. But creme de la creme, the championship for us. What are you gone with, Ben?
Again, you probably won't be surprised with these picks. I did have 3 Millwall players in there just as a bit of a joke, but I did change that. So Callum O'Hare, Sheffield United, last year for Coventry, he had 6 goals, 3 assists. Again, we've already spoken about it, but just someone that I really like. I think he's a top-class player. Sheffield United are a funny one for me this year. I don't know what to expect. I don't know whether they're going to be knocking on the door for the top end of the table in terms of playoffs or even higher, or I don't know if it's sort of the troubles that they've had and obviously ownership, all that sort of thing, whether they're even going to be in the top half. So they're a real don't know for me at the minute. But just in terms of a player, as I said, Callum O'Hare, really like him and expecting him to put up at least double-digit goal involvements this year. Second one, probably Langstaff for us. I'm just really, really excited about him this year. Again, we're not going to turn it into a Millwall-related show. I've got question marks over his or how many chances we're going to create for him. But I'm just really excited to see how he takes the step up. You cannot argue with his goal-scoring records. 28 goals, 4 assists last year. I mean,
ridiculous. Just
unbelievable, right? I know, again, League 2, big step up to the Championship. We've spoken about him a million times on our show. But, yeah, just excited and keen to see how he'll get on when he makes his first start for the Lions. And someone I've kind of plucked out of left field, and this ties in with a team to watch that I've looked at, and it pains me to say this, but Chella from QPR. They just looked a completely different side with the new manager last year. I'm expecting them to improve. I had a look at him. I had a look at all the teams in the Championship and the signings they made this year. And Zan Cheddar come from the Swiss League, where he put up 21 goals and 4 assists in all competitions last year. So pretty decent record. Again, don't know how that will translate to the Championship. But just a player that might put up some decent numbers that not many players will have in their team or may not know a lot about. So, yeah, put him up just as a player to keep an eye on. If QPR start the season well, could be down to a few of his goals. They did lose, again, the chap whose name has completely escaped me, the young centre-forward, completely had a mind blank. But, yeah, they've lost him. They've replaced him with Zan Cheller. So, yeah. Look, just
isn't that Robertson? I believe
that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
big target man. Looks very good, young as well. Yeah, he would definitely someone I expected a club like Millwall to look at who needed a target man as well. Talking about Sheffield United, there, that's interesting because I think a lot of people may think the same about Sheffield United, that they could be one of these teams that are very capable of going straight up, making the playoffs. Real tough team to beat. It's a tough place to go. But then they could be one of the teams that falls victim to the relegation issues that some teams have financially, and they fall off the face of the earth of such. So, like Leeds United did, it took them a number of years. Charlton have done so far. Bradford, many teams have done. So it brings me on to the next sort of thing I want to look at, which is you've done your players for the season. Great analysis, by the way, Ben, as well. These picks that Ben's picked will go out on the socials for you to have another look at, so you can check them out if you want to get them in your team as well after the show. But I want to look at team season. So have you got a list of any teams that you think we should be keeping our eye on for our weekly pick'ems?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I wanted to kind of think a little bit outside the box with these. It would be easy for me to come on here and say Leeds for the Championship, Birmingham for League One, and I don't know, Milton Keynes for League Two, right? It'd be easy for us to say that. So I've tried to think a little bit outside the box with these. And again, think about you've only got your teams to pick 5 times across the season. So once you pick your Leeds 5 times, you've got to pick someone else. So yeah, try to think a little bit outside the box with these. We'll go Championship to League Two this time. The Championship, again, it pains me to say it, but I have to put in there. I just think they're going to improve this year. I did flutter with the idea of putting Sheffield Wednesday in. Danny Roll done an unbelievable job with them last year. I expect them to really be pushing on this year. I think they could sneak a top half finish in the Championship. And again, just a team to keep an eye on. So yeah, QPR and Sheffield Wednesday struggled a bit last year, but both improved with Mark Futunez, is that his name, the QPR manager, and then Danny Roll at Sheffield Wednesday. So yeah, really expecting them to improve this year. League One, again, shouldn't be saying this. I'm going to get booted off our own show, That Mills Jay, but I've put Charlton in for League One. Again, I just think Nathan Jones is a superb manager. Yeah, I think he's a superb manager, certainly for that level. There was a lot of debate on whether we should have been looking at him and whether he was going to get the job before Joe Edwards last year. So yeah, I just think they're going to improve. They've spent some money. Got Matt Godden from Coventry, who I think is a decent replacement for Alfie May. Don't know if he'll put up sort of 20 plus numbers, but yeah, really like him. And expect Charlton to be knocking on the door. And then League Two, I've got again, they've got a manager that I just think is just far too good for that league in Darren Moore. I think they've got some money. I don't know what they've done in the transfer market. Again, we'll look into that after this, but I've gone with Port Vale as a team to watch in League Two.
Yeah, great pick. So, like you said, Darren Moore is a much, no disrespect to any Port Vale fans that are going to be watching out there, but you know, you managing to lock a manager like that in that type of league is helps you win games without the players that you've got. Just his tactical prowess and his experience and stuff is enough alone to see you have a half decent season. So yeah, no, totally agree with all them picks. I think Charlton is an interesting one because they really do have to knock on the door this year. I think with the players that they brought in, you know, Alex Mitchell, Gooden, like you say, they've made a lot of transfers. Birmingham again, and Sheffield Wednesday, I thought, with Danny Roll were fantastic side. Really hard team to play against. Caused us a lot of problems this season in the reverse fixture at home. And Sheffield United is a team that I looked at that we said, can they go back and forth? QPR again, ended the season really well. It's interesting that a lot of the teams that you've picked there, Ben, were teams that fell off at the end of the season, that were towards the bottom of the pack in their respective leagues, but really finished strong. QPR, Millwall, Sheffield Wednesday, Charlton, these teams that got real good young managers that look like they could really develop some good players that they brought in with good transfer windows, not including us in that because we wasn't part of your pick'em, but you know, Sheffield Wednesday, QPR, Charlton, manager changes, investment, starting to really pick up on what's being installed tactically by the managers, and they should benefit from it. So, yeah, I think the Championship's not probably the toughest league it's been for decades with the teams.
I think it's the most open, Joe. I mean, again, last year,
without a doubt,
it was quite obvious that Leicester were going to be up there, Leeds and Southampton. You kind of had them three as runaways near enough, right? But it looks more open this year. There's been question marks on Burnley. Scott Parker obviously going in there. They're going to change the way they play. We spoke about Sheffield United. Luton's an interesting one as well. I kind of toyed with putting them in. I love Rob Edwards. I think he's a great manager. Yeah. How are they going to get on? Really interested to see how they're going to react to getting relegated. Haven't seen them do too much business, but again, probably haven't taken a huge amount of notice of it. I'm more worried about what we're doing. But yeah, the Luton one's an interesting one for me. Similar to Sheffield United. I'd expect them to be up there probably a bit more than Sheffield United. But yeah, interested to see how they get on this year.
Yeah, because I mean, and you look at the teams that have come up, you know, Derby, Portsmouth, you know, some massive clubs. some huge clubs that have been at the top of the pyramid in English football, been there, done it, won trophies. It's a really, really tough league this year, probably the toughest it's going to be in a long time. And you can say the same for League One, the clubs that went down, Birmingham, Rotherham are that team that goes up and down every single year. But again, big clubs spent a lot of money, and Wrexham as well, moving up in the pyramid. They're starting to make their strides again. It's encouraging to see that the lower leagues now are becoming so much more competitive. It does make it difficult for teams like a Millwall, like a Port Vale, for instance, that we mentioned, that might not be gifted financially, that have to rely on finding gems here and there. But that's the nature of the EFL now. Some Premier League clubs see it as an avenue of development. It's shown that that's probably the best avenue for young Premier League players to go. It's a tough environment. It's weekend. It's Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Games every week. It's going to definitely make for probably one of the better EFL seasons we've seen for quite a while, I think, especially with the introduction of fantasy football as well.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. They're all quite tight this year. I always do a season bet, like I'm sure most of us do, in terms of trying to pick the league winners, and I found it really tough this year.
Same.
It was really hard to kind of pick a clear-cut winner. So I've tried to, as I say, think outside the box with my picks, certainly in relation to fantasy. I know you're going to come back at me and say, well, you've picked Leeds and Birmingham for the first one. But yeah, apart from that, when you run out of picking those after the first 5 game weeks, then you've got to look elsewhere, right? So yeah, try to have a little think of other clubs we could stick in.
No, I totally agree. So the last thing I want to touch on for our pilot episode previewing game week 1 is a look at our Fantasy EFL Show League table, which, once I get it up, we will be able to take you through our league. So for those of you that have joined already, thank you very much. We've got a load of you in here already, and a lot of podcasts of your respective teams that are going to be joining us throughout the season. We've got the Swans Cast, Sheffield United Way, the Wednesday Way. We've got Leyton Orient involved. We've got Luton involved. We've got Wrexham involved. There's so many of your favourite teams' podcasts that are going to be joining the league, that are going to be coming on throughout intervals of the season to talk about the league, where they are, talk about their fantasy picks, how they differ from everyone else's, and of course to talk about their respective teams' season in general as well. So if you do want to join the league, we will be sending the league code out, as you can see on screen. That will be going out. It's already gone out on our socials already. Message us, DM us, look out for our tweets on socials to see this. Everyone can join. We're going to have prizes as well, our own prizes, so our own show prize, which we will reveal in due course. We're not going to reveal anything about that now. And we'll be taking a pick of whoever's top of the league at the end of each week. We'll be going through your team. So if that's you, you might want to tune in and go through your team. We're going to want to talk to you and get you on the show, or have some interaction with the fans. This is what it's about. Fantasy football is engaging with the fans, and that's what we want to do with you. So that will all go out within the next couple of days, probably tomorrow, just before everyone starts getting their final picks in. We will bombard you with information and tweets, but not enough to overload you. But yeah, Ben, game week 1 is upon us. Our first show is almost at an end. Any final thoughts?
No, mate, just as we've kind of summarised, really looking forward to the shows throughout the season. Looking forward to seeing how our teams get on. We've given it we know everything about EFL fantasy, and if we flop after game week 1, we're going to see all the followers dwindle and no one's going to come on. So yeah, we better have a good start, mate. But yeah, no, apart from that, yeah, like, subscribe, come along for the journey. We want as much interaction as possible. We'll put out my top picks for the players and the teams. Get involved. Let us know your teams. Let us know why I'm wrong, why I'm right. And yeah, if you fancy your own club, give us a reason why. So yeah, get in the likes, get in the comments, and yeah, get involved.
Yeah, totally agree. And like I said, everyone, all your favourite podcasts will be tagged in the reveal of this video when it goes out for everyone to view. We'll announce Ben's Pick'ems. That'll be a weekly thing, so look out for that. Come and interact with us. Look at our socials on Twitter. Check out our bio where you can find our Bunches group where you can come and join the conversation, interact with myself and Ben on a weekly basis, and other hosts that will be joining the show that we haven't revealed to you yet, and panelists as well. Just be sure to like, subscribe, share the channel. We do it because we love fantasy football. It's not about anything else other than experiencing this with you for the first time. So, yeah, please like, please share, please subscribe, and join us on this journey. And with that, we will see you for Game Week 2 to look back on Game Week 1 and preview ahead for Game Week 2.
Welcome to the Fantasy EFL Show. Join Ben and Jay and many more to take you through each week. Who's up, who's down, who's in, who's out, and everything in between. So grab your stats and pick your team. The show will now begin. So it's about changing around and get yourself that win. Fantasy EFL, where the fans come to play. Fantasy EFL, now come and tune in. Play smart, play hard, it's time for Ben and Jay. The Fantasy EFL Show. Join Ben and Jay and many more to take you through.